at that time that we would need to restructure. But I don't know if
Well, I
that.
mean that's with all the moves I just told you about is Jimmy Graham. We would re-sign Bulaga. We'd extend Kenny Clark.
Okay.
I mean that right there. We would still have enough room for rookies. Signing Bulaga, sign Kenny Clark. The one
And you're
guy
still
I
going to
would not
make
have a
all your restricted free agent moves and all that stuff because those are low end moves that aren't really going to
yeah.
affect your cap hardly at all. So it's not like you're giving up any players to go get him. And I'm going to tell you right now, if they're willing to deal him, you are going to be able to get him for anything outside of a first round pick. With his production, because this is what we did and people misunderstood it, we looked at snaps, production per snap, and his production per snap is less than Alan Lazard. And his drop ratio is 50% this year. Lazard's is 24%.
So we were
So
trying
you're
to
going to
grade
get
it
him
on
for a
what we'd give
second
up to
round
trade
pick
for.
or like a
Yeah.
package of 2/3 and a fourth, or a second and 2/4, or a second and a fourth and a future fifth. You're going to get him for something like that. Or you're going to package a second and a future fourth and another player of some sort off the back end of your roster. Somebody is going to steal OBJ from them. He wants out. It's just starting now. They're not successful with him. And I'm telling you right now, it eventually somebody will steal him. He's going to a contender somewhere, and they're going to steal him from him, just like the Patriots stole Randy Moss in 2007 for a fourth-round pick from the Raiders, coming off a similar down year.
Yeah.
Also, as well, I mean, I'm looking at other guys we could possibly re-sign. I mean, it's guys like Tremont Williams. The Ageless Wonder is rated as our best corner this year through PFF. And I know PFF isn't the say all, but still, as a older corner, I believe he's what, 36 now?
Yeah.
36 years old.
37 years old. He's
37 years old,
he's a year older
and he's
now.
rated, I think, the 21st or 22nd corner in the NFL right now. And the guy is worth it. I mean, if you put him between King and Alexander, he works. He's a hell of a tackler. I mean, and plus he's a veteran leadership that adds to a really young locker room. I would be
One
willing
ring.
to sign him for a couple million like we did with his last deal.
Mhm.
But there's one guy I'd be willing to let walk, and I don't know if you agree, but Jay and I, if Blake Martinez, especially with him leading the league in tackles after today, he's going to want a higher
Anything over 4.
contract. He's going to want a higher contract, and I feel like he would be a guy we should let walk because of the inside linebackers that are available in the draft this year. There's 3 down linebackers that are nasty in the run and coverage, and those guys that you just want on your team because they wouldn't come off for any snap. Martinez is a guy that has trouble in coverage, and when he's a first and second down linebacker, Parker. I mean, I don't know if you agree on that, but
Yeah. No, I
we see. And coverage happens, it's like he just disappears. We thought he'd take a jump this year, but he hasn't. So, I mean, would you feel good about letting him walk? And are you big on any of the draft prospects right now?
I would agree with that. Like you said, I mean, he's leading the league in tackles right now, and he's more than likely going to ask for a bigger contract for next year. So
Yep.
I would sacrifice that to try to find a good enough linebacker in the draft, and I think you would find a good linebacker in the draft to replace him with.
There's 2 guys that stand out in the draft this year, and they're gonna go lower towards where we are in the draft, meaning the higher 20s, because or even 31 or 32, because Packers look like one of those teams that they can just go in and beat anybody on any given Sunday right now in the playoffs. But grading where they are now, it looks like they're projecting them at like anywhere between 27 to 30 right now. And with that, there's 2 guys. There's one, Isaiah Simmons from Clemson. He is the middle linebacker that runs like he's a safety, but he's just built. He's a big old brick wall, and he's able to chase down running backs and tight ends. He covers well. The other one is Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma. He is like the prototypical build for an inside linebacker you want. He has the broad shoulders of a defensive end, but he has a slimmed down waist and a lower body of a safety. and he runs sideline to sideline like a monster.
We'll get to see both of those players in upcoming
Yep.
college football semifinals coming up.
Yep. And I mean, what better way to kind of examine them because they're on the biggest stage coming up. And
Yep.
I just feel if you get a guy, and there's even a couple inside linebacker prospects in the second round I saw as well that just look amazing. Still, like they don't look great, but they still look amazing. And maybe if they were groomed, they could get up to that level where these other guys are, and there's no fall off from Blake Martinez, because if you get a guy who has trouble in coverage, you're getting a cheaper guy to do the same exact job who's just as good and can be even better because of a young player's ceiling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't beat it. Plus, there's some guys this year in the draft for defensive linemen that I've been drooling over. Jay gets irritated because I talk about him so much. There's two of them. One is Derek Brown from Auburn, and the other one is Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. If you put either of those guys and start next to Kenny Clark, you will not have to rush more than 4 on the quarterback next year. That's how good those defensive tackles are.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's my argument is you can save money in certain places, not paying Blake Martinez $8 to $10 million for a high linebacker salary when you can put it towards other players like Clark, Bulaga, Williams. Ibrahim Campbell's a free agent next year. He'll probably be $1 million. So, I mean, Tyler Ervin, especially, he's proven his worth. If he keeps it going and the way he's returning and helps kind of carry us deep in the playoffs, because you need all 3 phases to win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl, but as a team, not even the Packers, as a team, you need special teams. J.K. Scott, Mason Crosby, Tyler Ervin.
And I think Tyler Irvin's going to be that special mixture for our special teams, because before, I mean, we had all that negative yardage on punt and kick returns, and now all of a sudden,
Smith was such a tease. He just ran sideline to sideline, but never cut up field ever.
Yeah. And now with Tyler Ervin, I mean, this guy, he's special. And I think, I mean, you're going to need him. You're going to need him to do those types of kick returns and punt returns in the playoffs, because you'd rather start at obviously the 40 or 50 midfield rather than like the 15 or 20. And that guy will get you those yards that'll get you to midfield.
Yep.
So
I definitely agreed on that.
I think he's going to be a very important factor. Him along with Mason Crosby as well. Because when you're in Green Bay in January, it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows type of weather. So you're going to need that type of kicker too. And I think we can rely on Crosby in that type of weather.
Bold prediction here. I don't know if you guys would like it or not, but I got to come out and say this. Aaron Jones has 830 rushing yards. Minnesota, he gained what was it I mentioned earlier? 123?
I think it was 116.
116, 120. So, okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, so or a little over 110 yards. So say if he comes out with a similar performance against Minnesota, rushes well, has 115 yards on to now. He has 900 and I believe 45 yards. Detroit's defense is horrible. Does he get those 55 yards?
To get to 1,000? I think so.
1,000-yard rusher.
I think so. I mean, with the amount of times LaFleur wants to try to use Jones, especially now late in the year, you're seeing him get 15 to 20 carries per game. And I mean, with that combined with his pass catching ability that we've seen on screens and whatnot, I think you could definitely see him reach 1,000 this year.
Well, I mean, I love him that he's getting in the touchdowns against the Bears, especially for some ungodly reason. Parker, Jay and I have brought this up before. When he gets around the 20 or inside the red zone, he has a nose for the end zone. Yep. The guy just knows how to go straight north and south, get in bull rush. He's only 5'9".
Mm-hmm. And
the guy bull rushes defensive tackles and linebackers like he's 6'3", 240 pounds, Leonard Fournette. I mean,
he's a bowling ball, and they're the pins. I mean, what else?
What I love about playing the Chicago Bears, they think they have the running game figured out, and in comes Mr. J Swag, Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
Got more first downs today just running over people. Like he carried Akeem Hicks for 3 yards on his back, and that's a 400-pound defensive lineman right there. Literally 3 yards to get a first down. I mean, he is the type of runner you want against a physical run team, because a run defense team, because especially in the cold with 18 degrees, 8 degrees wind chill, it feels like it's 10 degrees. Yeah. You don't want to get hit with a 230-pound running back in the cold over and over and over again. That's Jamal Williams.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that we have that extra aspect in the cold games. And that's why teams right now, before they weren't really worrying about it, but now that San Fran lost, New Orleans and Seattle's kind of checking their rearview mirrors like, oh, crap, we don't need to let the playoffs go through Lambeau, because that's not going to be fun at all. Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams in the cold, Aaron Rodgers knowing how to throw a deadweight football. No one wants that right now. Preston's Darius Smith bearing down on a quarterback on frozen tundra and putting them in the dirt. Yeah, they're not going to like that.
No team will. But I think another secret weapon that I think LaFleur is going to start using now, when we start getting into the postseason, is going to be Danny Vitale. Because you saw in the beginning of the year, and even in preseason games, they were using him as a runner, like in the backfield. And I think he can be an effective there, and he can also be effective in the passing game too. You'll see him maybe they'll put him and Jones out on the other side, and they'll like run a wheel route with Vitale, and then run a screen with Jones or Williams, and then it'll be he'll act like a decoy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that could end up being a special type of play set for LaFleur, especially once the playoffs start.
Well, there's also another theory. I hate to add on to this more, Jay. I know he's like irritated probably because I keep adding on more stuff. Right, Jay?
Nope, you're good. I'm watching
highlights
on NFL.
Okay. So there's one more thing that you know how like every week.
Just me and you right now, I guess, Dave.
Well, I mean, because he's heard this stuff like daily from me, so he doesn't. He knows exactly what I'm going to say. Yeah. So there's another angle on. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, the Packers need to find their identity. Packers need to be more consistent." I don't think that's it at all. It's not playing possum. I think what LaFleur is doing. He has 16 weeks of football and a full giant playbook to skim through and past offenses he's run. As a quarterback's coach, he's collected offensive schemes, being under McVay, being under Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, all of them. Even Mike Vrabel as a head coach. I'm pretty sure he had some say on some stuff. I mean, he's collected all this stuff. Now what I think is going on, if you go back and look at every single game, Parker, no game plan is the same. And I understand weekly there's not that, oh yeah, every game plan isn't the same. But this is where I'm saying it as, I think he's going through 2 to 3 pages of the playbook each week. And he's choosing which plays he likes. If it works, keep it. If it doesn't work and we tried it a couple times, scrap it. Because Rodgers is the type of quarterback. If a play doesn't work like 4 or 5 times, especially if you try it over a couple weeks, he's going to get irritated. We know that. He's going to get frustrated and be like, all right, why are we running this? We've tried it before. It's not working. LaFleur's recognized that. So I feel like he's taking the plays that are working in the games that obviously we're winning and keeping them. Like the San Fran game, the Chargers game, phooey. You're scrapping the playbook on that, the pages that you had there and the game plan that you had, you're scrapping the whole thing, throwing in the trash. Like today, you're going to keep plays where you have Mercedes Lewis out in the flat wide open. You're going to keep the plays with Lazard sitting perfectly in between the freaking safety in the corner. I feel like in the playoffs, LaFleur is going to have this book of like his holy Bible all-time plays, and he's going to be able to pick any play on any page and just basically connect the dots through the game.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree.
No game plan is the same because with teams throughout the whole season, if you go watch 49ers, if you go watch even the Bengals, they have consistency to their game plans. They try to do the same stuff each week